It's in Baltimore. Short week of football here as the Ravens get after the Miami Dolphins on Thursday night amidst lots of chaos on that side. This guy covers the chaos of sports via business at Sporting News. He is one of our favorite guests to have on. We only have him on a couple times a year. He's up there in New York right now licking his pinstripe wounds. He is Michael McCarthy. He is M. McCarthy, R-E-V, out on Twitter, and of course out at the Sporting News where he covers the business of sports. And certainly, Michael, the business of New York and the business of the Yankees and the business of Major League Baseball, they didn't want to see the Astros in this thing. As much as a baseball guy, I'm digging some Altuve from my Venezuelan background, but Yankees-Dodgers was going to be a bonanza, wasn't it?
Oh, my God, it was setting up perfect. The two biggest TV markets, two great names, a great rivalry. You better believe they're crying in their beers over at Fox now to lose the TV market. I don't think there's going to be a lot of interest in the New York TV market over this World Series, but we'll see. I
don't know if there's going to be interest in a lot of places outside of Houston and wherever there are Dodger fans from that perspective. I mean, you have jilted Cubs fans, disappointed Nationals fans, upset Yankees fans. There's not anything compelling about or sexy about this above and beyond baseball itself. This is a really exciting Astros team, and I don't need to tell you, you were up late Saturday night, trying to get the Yankees back to the World Series, as was the whole New York mojo there. But Yankees had a real nice run. I think we're all looking at the next 5 years as them being, perennial October contributors once again. But this Astros team is, if you love baseball, you got to love the way they play, right?
You got to love the way they play. And here's another thing to think about. I hadn't realized it until somebody pointed this out to me, but somebody said that Houston is the fourth biggest city in the country now.
It is.
After New York, L.A., and Chicago, Houston. So, I mean, there might be a huge untapped TV market that could come in for this World Series that we haven't really been speaking about.
Well, and then there's the brand of the Astros, which famously 5 years ago got a 0.0 TV rating, which is very, very difficult to do in the modern era, right? To literally say no one was watching the Astros tonight. We know that not to be true, and they were losing 100 games routinely. This is a story for Rob Manfred and for baseball, and I know they always love to do this. I mean, the lowly Orioles, the lowly Pirates, the long-forgotten Royals, all of these teams have been relevant in recent years. This is just the Astros' turn right now, and don't look now, but here come the Yankees and the Red Sox again, right?
And also, Houston is one of those hard luck cities. Everybody remembers them. At least folks our age remember them. Losing to the Steelers when they were the Oilers and all that. And it kind of has a little bit of a Chicago Cubs feeling, where maybe Houston as a city is due.
Well, and in the case of the Dodgers, you can't find better star power than Kershaw and him having not been there. The thing I keep loving about this, and I wish I had a little more time off and not so much to do, dude, is there anything greater than a sunset over Dodger Stadium on a warm 80-degree October night? That's a long way from, Indians and the Cubs playing when it's 28 degrees and snowflakes are in the forecast, right? I mean, this is going to be a different kind of World Series in that way.
Yeah, it's a classic stadium and a classic club. The Dodgers, going to bring so much star power and firepower to this series. I still think the ratings will be pretty good. I mean, they won't approach what they would have if it was Dodgers-Yankees, but I still think they're going to be good.
I'm still trying to get used to the Astros in the American League, right? I mean, that's the freaky-deaky part for old guys like you and me, right?
That's right. We're used to thinking about them versus the Mets and all that, and nope.
Well, Michael, I've been around the league here last couple weeks, traveling around. I was over in London with the Ravens, and business is good over there for the NFL. The knee happened that morning. The Ravens were amongst the first ones to take the knee. The shell-shock part of this, the empty seats, the anger, everyone taking a side on this one way or another, where the players are on this, where the owners have been, and what they're trying to accomplish. But at heart, it is a business, and at heart, I don't know what else other than Donald Trump shooting off on Twitter could have hurt the NFL in the way that it's been hurt over the last month, and the division of race, the division of clubhouses, the division of fan bases. I lost my home for my live show after 9 years because the bar decided they didn't want Ravens players in their bar anymore. I mean, there things that you just could not have in your mind thought of in July or August. In October, we're now reacting to all of this, as is Roger Goodell, right?
I would disagree with you there. I think the NFL should have anticipated this. They saw what happened with the player protests last year. They saw how much it divided the league. And for them to just go into this season with their head in the sand and not have any plan on what to do about this, to me, it's just irresponsible and a real failure of leadership by the NFL.
Well, and in saying that, now they're picking up the pieces. It was a little more quiet, I guess, over the weekend. I think the story for the NFL right now, and I got this feeling sitting in Minneapolis on Sunday afternoon where, by the way, incredible stadium, glass, light, Super Bowl's coming there. I'm going back to Minnesota in 13 weeks and making my reservations, and I'm sure the snow will be there, and there'll be two good teams there by the time we get there. But, around the league, I look up on the scoreboard, and all I see Tampa, Buffalo, and thinking, two teams, Tennessee, Cleveland, one bad team and one team not trying to be. I don't know where the good teams are. I don't know where the good games are. And certainly when there's no Aaron Rodgers, when there's no J.J. Watt, when there's no Odell Beckham making one-handed catches in the end zone, I think there's a lot for the league that the game on the field, for a lot of reasons, for injuries, for guys not panning out. But I do think injuries are playing a bigger and bigger role, and certainly here in Baltimore, where half of our team is on IR right now, the product on the field isn't very good in a 33-0 Rams win over the Arizona Cardinals or in a 40-10 win for the Dallas Cowboys over the 49ers. I think one of the reasons the ratings are down, aside from all the political and black and white and right and left, the product's not very good. Football's not good right now.
You're absolutely right, Nestor. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into the ratings being down. Politics is just one of them. And right now, as I was sitting around watching all the games yesterday, I was like, this is not a good Sunday of football. Blowout games and shutouts and games where all the scoring is field goals. Like you said, the entire roster of stars is missing on injured reserve, from Aaron Rodgers to J.J. Watt to Odell Beckham. The games aren't very exciting. Even the games you think are going to be good, like Patriots-Falcons, turns out to be sort of a dud. So you're right. The product isn't very good on the field right now. You've got a lot of negative feelings swirling around the NFL. It's kind of like the spell has been broken for fans.
Well, I mean, how good can you be when, Kessler's running around, or Matt Moore is facing Josh McCown, or Trevor Siemian, is trying to throw the ball in a little soccer stadium out in L.A. I mean, you look down, you see the names of the quarterbacks. By and large, when you see Case Keenum, you probably know you're not getting Tom Brady, right?
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? You could see it. The quality of the game is down because the quality of the quarterbacks isn't as good. The stars are missing. They're in the hospital. They're in injury. They're in rehab. So you're not going to get those kinds of exciting games you used to get when the best players in the world are out.
We're on the line with Sporting News' Michael McCarthy. You can follow him out on Twitter of the Fighting City of New York at McCarthyREV out on Twitter. This segment all brought to you by Al's Seafood in Essex. We've been getting steamed crabs and crab cakes there since the 1970s. The oldest crab house in Baltimore is still at Stemmers Run and Eastern in Old Essex off the 702. See Chad the Crab Man at Al's Seafood in Essex. Also a friendly reminder that even though it's getting a little chilly out there, you can grab a little park and get out there and swing it at Compass Point Golf Course in Pasadena. It is the best place to play fall and winter. Lots of events, beer events, friendly folks, and a great course close to home down in Pasadena. Go to compasspointgolf.com and make sure you're listening to Robert Kennedy here on WNST, who's going to bring us up to speed on golf and some local college basketball. Michael McCarthy joining us on the line from Sporting News in New York. You mentioned the NFL not being ready for this internal war and the Players Association and the president tweeting whatever he wants 21 times on a Monday morning. I would say the same thing would be true for the worldwide leader, Michael. This thing is not just spilled into football players and into sports bars in Carroll County and into my world as a radio host. It certainly is spilled into the alphabet soup of the people and the talking heads who have opinions about more than sports. And they're not going to stick to sports, especially if their skin color, their background, their sexual sexual orientation, their economic background, their politics starts to bleed into this. We're in a really new place here, Mike. I mean, I've been doing this 33 years. I remember starting in the newspaper industry, and I cut my teeth on journalism and what is fair, what is fact, what is opinion, what is supported, what is a quote, what is verifiable, what's on the record and off the record. And then there comes this modern era where you literally hire personalities based on their opinions, and they are paid to give their opinions until they give their opinion of something their boss, the network, or the sponsors don't like. And therein lies Jemele Hill, but on the back end of Bill Simmons and all the other disciplinary stuff at ESPN, as hard as it is for the NFL to try to figure out what Terrell Suggs might say at his locker on any given Sunday, or whatever antics they're going to get out of Marshawn Lynch in any given week, when you're ESPN and you're paying people to give an opinion, this becomes very, very cloudy on the journalism side, and certainly for ESPN and Jemele Hill, this is boiled over, and this is not going to be the last time, Mike. You know that.
Yeah, we have gone down the rabbit hole, and I have to say that I warned ESPN about this. I told them years ago, I said, once you go into this, embrace debate and let everybody, have their opinions flying around, you're only going to get in trouble. For decades, literally, ESPN became the most successful sports entity out there by sticking to sports. Politics was the third rail. You didn't go there. You didn't touch it. But once they went there, you know what I mean? You invite all sorts of division and all sorts of anger. I mean, there's a reason why Mom told you not to discuss religion or politics at the table, because it's instantly going to divide people, and that's what's going on here. I mean, Jemele has been suspended for these tweets about Trump and about this hypothetical boycott of player sponsors, and she won't be the first. She wasn't the first. She definitely won't be the last. There's going to be somebody else at ESPN. It's going to be get in trouble for their tweets or something they said on the air. And ESPN is just going to make up the rules as they go along.
Well, right, because the policy is fluid, right? And not just for ESPN, but for any organization. I mean, the same would be said where in the NBA, Popovich and Kerr and their organizations say and do whatever they want on the other side of the political sphere. And a lot of it is, I think, market to market for the repercussions. But on the national level, the NFL has found this, and ESPN has found this out, that these opinions become very, very dangerous. Then there becomes, what opinion am I allowed to have an opinion about? What topic am I allowed to have an opinion about? And where am I allowed to voice that opinion on the internet or, in a private conversation if that's the way you feel?
Right. I mean, the whole area, the gray area here is about as large as the fog over Foxborough last night. There's so many different ways that people can get into trouble. But, I mean, you could also argue that if I'm Jemele Hill or Jemele Hill's representative, I would have argued I shouldn't have been suspended at all. You allowed me in your gray guidelines to do this. So why am I being suspended for giving my opinion? Isn't that what you pay me for?
Well, I think the other part of this, and, having been a journalist here in Baltimore who was hung at sunset by Peter Angelos, and I had my press pass taken away very famously in 2006, that becomes the dog whistle unto itself to say, you know what, any more criticism of me? I mean, I haven't seen a critical story written locally of Peter Angelos in 11 years here about anything, because that's the fear that goes into this. And certainly for the hundreds of people at ESPN, in a place where lots of people lost their jobs famously a few months ago due to budget cuts, whether it was Ed Werder, whether it's Jason Stark and all of these other very, very decorated people, everyone else now at the worldwide leader sees Jemele Hill get hung out to dry and says, well, now I just know if I comment on politics, I'm going to lose my job or I'm going to be flogged by my company instead of supported. But it's okay to want the quarterback fired or the owner should sell the team. Whatever those sports comments are, those are safe. But anything religious, political, about society, that's not safe. So you're taking 400 other voices at ESPN and saying, shut up. I mean, stick to sports, as they would say in my side of the world on Twitter.
Nestor, follow the money. That's a good piece of advice for sports as in everything else. When the ESPN people, when their criticisms, when their comments touch on money, such as Roger Goodell, who's ESPN's biggest business partner, or sponsors, then you're more likely to get in trouble.
He is Michael McCarthy. It is all brought to you by King Discount Liquors, Lottery, beer, booze, and the best prices in Baltimore. Get out to Rosedale and give the King a ring. It is King Discount Liquors. They've been with us for almost 2 decades now. Last thing for you, Mike, give me a prediction here, man. I know what a baseball guy you are. I mean, you're going to be watching even though you're broken heart with the end. Be honest, dude. You're a Yankee fan. They'll be back next year and the next year. I mean, what we've seen here in Baltimore is very, very demoralizing. The Yankees will rise again. I think this is the Dodgers' time, though. I predict that the Dodgers are going to win this World Series this week.
I agree with you. Dodgers in 7. I think it's going to be a really good series. I think the Astro bats are going to come alive. And, I think it's going to come down to Kershaw. Kershaw is such a great pitcher. Finally he's getting his time on the big stage. If he could, come away with 2 wins, then I think it's Dodgers in 7.
You know what I love about this as an old-time baseball fan is just they're healthy. The pitching matchups are all right. We're going to see 1 go versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3. I love that the trading deadline played a role in this, that the Astros stuck it out for Verlander, that the Dodgers stuck it out for Yu Darvish. I mean, the Orioles were in the mix on all this stuff, and they thought they were in this. They didn't get those players. And this is the one year that the trading deadline really played a huge, huge role in who's going to win a championship this year.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It's a good point.
Michael, appreciate you, man. We're going to send everybody out to M. McCarthy, REV, to follow you out on Twitter and, of course, at Sporting News, where you are busily covering the business of sports and politics and media and all that good stuff. Always great to visit with you, man.
Great. Thank you very much.
Hope to see you in New York sometime soon. He is Michael McCarthy, M. McCarthy, REV, out on Twitter and at sportingnews.com doing the business of sports. You can find me always doing the business of Baltimore sports here out in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. Our morning newspaper delivers to your email inbox digitally. It's all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. It's always $10 a month there, always judgment-free, and there's they got that lunk alarm there in case there's any problems going on. But plenty of treadmills, plenty of TVs, plenty of personal help for you to get in shape. So, if you're drinking the eggnog and eating the pumpkin like I am, right? I had some coconut cream pie over the weekend. Oh, boy. Holidays are going to wear me out. You got to get the Planet Fitness, $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. Dennis Colossus will be here on Thursday, driving you home from 3 until 5 and getting you ready as a pregame for Ravens and Dolphins. And, of course, our WNST tech service alive. Hopefully getting Jeremy Maclin back on the field Thursday night for the Dolphins game. We've had enough bad news on the WNST tech service, but it's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. When players go down, when players come back, you get it first. And Dennis will be here on Thursday driving you home. I'm out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.